Hello guys, this is The Glassworker. You might have heard about this movie because it went famous in 2024. It's Pakistan's and indeed South Asia's first hand-painted 2D anime-style film. The story is an extraordinary blend of war, love, and heartbreak. I promise if you watch the story till the end, it will bring tears to your eyes. So the story begins in a city by the sea, a waterfront town famous worldwide for its amazing glass artistry. The sand there was so unique that anything made from it was not only incredibly strong, but also breathtakingly beautiful. But ironically, this very beauty became a curse for the city, sparking conflict between two countries. Now, the main character of this story is Vincent Oliver, the son of the famous glass artist Thomas Oliver. He lived in this city with his father. But this story isn't just about Vincent and his father. Here, ghosts, the spirits of fire, also play a crucial role. The story starts with grown-up Vincent preparing for his first art exhibition. While getting ready, he goes to their old storeroom to check some of his previous work. Suddenly, a soft shimmering light catches his eye, drawing him toward an old box. When Vincent opens the box, he finds an old letter and a handmade butterfly-shaped hair clip inside. Seeing these, he realizes the letter was from Elise, his only childhood friend and first love. The letter had been lying in the storeroom for years, just like Alise's memories were buried deep in Vincent's heart. Now, as Vincent opens the letter, those memories of Alise come alive right before his eyes. Then, we see Vincent's childhood. He didn't go to school because his father wanted him to study at home and learn the craft of glasswork. Because of this, Vincent never had any friends, and the kids from the docks would often make fun of him. One day, Thomas was teaching Vincent how difficult it is to paint on glass perfectly. If the paint is too thick, the glass loses its transparency. That very day, Alize came into their shop. As she looked around, her eyes stopped on the soft glass sculptures. She saw Vincent trying to pick up a glass rose, but it kept slipping from his hands. Alize quickly caught it, just in time. Suddenly, her mother called her, and she hurriedly left the shop. In the next scene, we see Vincent shopping with his father. He often asked his father the same question. "Dad, how did you and Mom meet for the first time?" Honestly, he had heard the story so many times that he had memorized every word. Still, he kept asking the same question over and over. Later, Vincent sees a military parade being held to welcome Colonel Aman, who was recently appointed to the waterfront city. But Vincent's attention is caught by someone else. His eyes fall on Colonel Aman's daughter, none other than Alicia herself. But amidst all the celebration and excitement, Thomas was the only one who was not happy at all watching the parade. Because when his eyes landed on Colonel Amano, he suddenly exploded with anger. He started shouting, saying the soldiers should leave the city immediately because Thomas did not want war. But no one listened to him. Instead, they got angry, surrounded him, and told him to calm down. Meanwhile, Colonel Amano's daughter, Eliza, loved playing the violin very much. Her dream was to become a famous violinist one day. And this was why her father, Colonel Amano, was very proud of her. So he enrolled Eliza in the city's music school. There, a student named Malik saw Eliza's first performance and immediately felt drawn to her. Anyway, Eliza's arrival in the new city and the location of Vincent's shop brought them closer, and soon a good relationship developed between them. One day, Vincent and Eliza met suddenly by the seashore. They heard a strange sound. Following the source of the sound, Vincent told Eliza about the ghost, saying that a ghost lived in that cave nearby. He also explained that the sand here was among the best in the world and that many artworks were made from this special sand. At first, Eliza couldn't believe it was possible that the artworks were really made from sand. Determined, she said, "If the artworks are truly made from sand, then Vincent must show me how it's done." After much thought, Vincent agreed to show her the process on Friday because his father wouldn't be home that day. Finally, on Friday, Vincent made a glass flower for Eliza for the very first time. Eliza watched the entire process standing quietly. But just then, Thomas came home. And when he saw this, he immediately kicked Eliza out of the shop because he was afraid that working with glass might be dangerous. And if Alice somehow got hurt, Colonel Amano could throw them in jail. But the next day, Vincent shows up outside Alice's school. There, he shyly gives her the glass flower. In a soft, nervous voice, he says, "Someday, I'll make you something even more special." And just like that, overwhelmed with shyness, he runs away. Even though Thomas could never accept their friendship, Vincent and Alice continued to grow closer. Over time, Vincent became more skilled at his craft, and Alice, she disappeared deeper and deeper into the world of the violin. Their love for art and music brought them even closer together. But meanwhile, Malik's feelings for Alice began to grow too, and slowly, his envy of Vincent started to burn. Then, one day, war broke out in the beautiful city. The peaceful waterfront town was now forcing its young men into the army. But Thomas had always been against war. And now, because of his beliefs, he became a target for the townspeople's anger. On the other hand, Malik, already bitter about Alice and Vincent's bond, enlists in the military and begins insulting Vincent, calling him the son of a coward. Then one night, suddenly, Colonel Amano shows up at Thomas's house, surrounded by a squad of soldiers. In a harsh, commanding voice, he says, "You must obey us." Then he reveals a quicksilver rectifier, a special device made from glass used to power the army's airships. But the devices they had kept breaking down. So the colonel wanted Thomas to build a special, ultra-durable rectifier, crafted with his exceptional glasswork, but Thomas firmly refused because he was completely against the war. That's when the soldiers threatened him. They said if he didn't help, he would be forcibly sent to the battlefield. In the end, Thomas had no choice but to become part of the war effort. After a long time, Colonel Amano visited the shop again. He told them that Thomas's rectifier had finally been approved by their engineers. In his excitement, the colonel even bought a beautiful glass sculpture made by Vincent and took it home. Then one day, Colonel Amano gathered all the young boys in the city to send them off to war. Malik was one of them. As he was leaving, Malik said to Elise, "I'm doing all of this for you, and one day I'll win you over and make you mine." Then he left with the rest of the soldiers. That night, broken-hearted by her father's sudden departure, Elise came to Vincent's shop. And for the first time, Thomas himself asked her to join for tea. Not only that, he finally gave his blessing to Vincent and Elise's deep, affectionate friendship. From then on, Vincent and Elise started spending more and more time together. One day, as they were walking through the town, enemy aircrafts began dropping bombs out of nowhere. They barely escaped, finding shelter in a quiet corner of the city. And there, in the middle of their conversation, Elise brought up Malik. She said that Malik still wrote letters to her sometimes, and even though she didn't always want to, she replied back now and then. Hearing that, Vincent's heart sank. He felt like maybe Elise would leave him too, just like everyone else, and go to Malik. In a sudden rush of anger, Vincent blurted out, "Your music, it's not even yours. You just copy other people's songs. What I create, it comes from my own imagination. You'll never be able to grow as a musician." Alice gets furious hearing this and blames Vincent. She says that he too is a coward, just like his father, because he didn't go to serve the country either. He's been hiding. In a burst of anger, Alice declares she'll never get married. She'll grow up to be an extraordinary musician and nothing else. Then she returns the glass flower that Vincent had gifted her. That fight leaves a deep crack in their relationship. Later, Vincent walks Alice back home, where they find out that Colonel Amano has gone missing in the war, or maybe even died. Alice completely breaks down after hearing that. She pours all her grief into music, composing a melody of her own. A few days later, Alice is given the chance to perform at a big festival at their college. And that very night, she remembers Vincent's harsh words and the pain he caused. So she decides to invite him. Alice makes up her mind. She'll perform her own melody, a song from her soul. Meanwhile, Vincent, keeping his promise, prepares something very special for Alice. It's a stunning hairpin shaped like a butterfly, made from a single piece of glass. Inside it are fragments of jewelry that once belonged to Vincent's late mother. When Vincent comes to see Alice's performance, a few students recognize him. They start mocking him, saying, "There goes the coward son." They block his way and even throw his invitation card into the water. Without it, he has no way of getting inside. Still, Vincent climbs up to the rooftop just to catch a glimpse of Alice's performance. And on the stage, Alice begins to sing. But her eyes, they're searching for only one person, Vincent. She was waiting for him for her solo performance. But eventually, he begins to play the violin again in memory of his father. And just then, something catches Elise's attention by the window. But there was no one there, because at that moment, Vincent had noticed a group of soldiers approaching the college. They were enemies, so he immediately jumped down from the roof to confront them. Just then, Malik entered the college, carrying the wounded Colonel Amano on his shoulder. Elise saw her father, alive. Overwhelmed with joy, she ran to Malik and kissed him on the cheek. And Vincent, he saw it all from a distance. Everyone now looked at Malik as a hero. But Vincent, he was crushed, completely shattered from within. A few days later, Colonel Amano was posted to a region in the northern sector. He ordered his family and Malik to relocate there as well. Until now, these events had already separated Vincent and Elise. And yet, the next day, Vincent still went to Elise's school, bringing the hairpin he made for her. That's when he found out Elise would be leaving the city very soon. Panicked, he rushed to her house. But Elise's mother and the guards forced him to leave. Elise never even got to know he had come. Vincent began to think maybe Elise saw him as a coward. Maybe she had chosen Malik as her life partner. This heartbreak, this misunderstanding, it pushed Vincent toward revenge. Anger began to grow inside him. He went to the sea to throw away the hairpin, but something stopped him. He returned home instead. That night, he told his father, "This time, I'll be the one to build the rectifier." But deep down, his heart was burning. Blinded by rage, Vincent made a terrifying decision. He secretly inserted a flaw, a small defect, into the rectifiers made for the army. Because of that defect, shortly after activation, the ships using them would explode. But deep down, Vincent carried another wound, a resentment, a pain he had held since childhood. He had always heard people whispering, "He is the son of a coward." Now he was determined to prove what true courage really meant. On the other hand, before leaving the city, Elise came to meet Vincent for one last time, but he wasn't at the shop. So Elise left a letter for him and said goodbye to Thomas. That letter was the very one we saw Vincent reading at the start of the film. In the next scene, it's night. We see Thomas secretly loading rectifiers onto a military ship. Just then, Vincent arrives and confesses something shocking. He had deliberately made a tiny error in the rectifiers, one that would cause the ships to self-destruct. Thomas is stunned. He immediately starts pulling all the rectifiers back from the ship. But in the rush, while handling the glass rectifiers, his hand gets badly cut, blood dripping down. And at that very moment, enemy forces begin their assault. Artillery rains down from the sky. Their city is under attack. Vincent suddenly realizes the weight of his mistake, because without those rectifiers, their soldiers were helpless and were falling one by one. He rushes to push all the boxes off the cliff, trying to prevent further disaster. But he didn't notice Thomas's rope was tangled with one of the boxes. As the crates fell, Thomas's arm was ripped apart. He lost his hand forever, and with it, his ability to ever create glass art again. Meanwhile, Elise, on her way out of the city, looks back from a distance and watches in horror as the city she once loved, the beautiful city she admired so deeply, is engulfed in flames. Vincent's heart broke. He could almost feel Elise's pain from afar. Meanwhile, he hears the distant sound of a train. He looks in that direction, helpless, lost, thinking only of her. And then, suddenly, the train is bombed. Explosions rip through the silence. The entire train is destroyed. The scene fades. We return to the present. A few years later, Vincent is sitting alone, rereading that old letter from Elise. In the letter she had written, "Vincent, I truly loved you. I'm sorry for how I made you feel. You were never a coward. Maybe you're not with me today, but your memories, they will always stay with me." By now, Vincent had become a renowned glass artist. People from far and wide came to see his exhibitions. But inside, Vincent was still trapped, haunted by the memory of Elise. Today was October 26th, the day of his very first public exhibition. A day Elise should have been there. As the exhibition unfolds, his eyes fall again on that same fragile letter. Later, in his workshop, as evening descends, Vincent tries to burn the letter, but just before he can, tiny sparks from the fire land on it, and it burns on its own. And then he sees her, Elise, standing right in front of him. She extends her hand toward him. Vincent gently places a delicate glass flower in her palm. The scene shifts to the edge of the sea, where Vincent and Elise are finally together again. We see her wearing the special butterfly clip, the one Vincent had crafted for her long ago. Elise walks barefoot in the ocean, letting the waves kiss her feet. Vincent sits nearby, watching her in awe, in peace. Her love, just like glass, was always pure and beautiful. And just like that, an unfinished story finds its perfect ending. So now, let me clear up a confusion many of you might have. If the train really exploded, then how did Elise appear again at the end of the movie? Well, the truth is, the train was destroyed. But maybe, just maybe, Vincent, who believed in ghosts and the supernatural since childhood, held on to the hope that Elise had somehow survived. What we saw was likely his imagination. Vincent wanted to see her again, and so, in his mind, Fritz, she did appear. The film never clearly tells us whether Elise truly died or if she somehow miraculously returned, but we can assume she didn't make it. That final, beautiful scene by the sea was nothing more than Vincent's hallucination, a dream born of longing. So, how did you like the story? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, I'll take your leave for today.